Tell me where we first kissed. Tell me my spot is.
I'm going to use this on the podcast.
Tell me if I like it. Love it.
Welcome to this week's Drunk on Books episode.
We back, bitch.
We will be serenaded by the song stylings of Miss Val.
Val. Listen, hold on. Don't cut me off. It's showtime at the Apollo, bitch. I done rubbed this up and everything.
She rubbed the stump, y'all. She rubbed the stump.
Ain't that what it was? It was a tree stump, wasn't it?
It's a tree stump, yes.
Why the fuck they got black people rubbing on wood? I don't know.
It's good luck.
Girl, only wood I rub. Never mind. Hello, everybody.
So this week we're discussing the first book in the Guild Hunter series by Nalini Singh, Angel's Blood.
Angel's Blood. Don't that sound like a Drake song? No, actually, it sounds like a Drake cologne.
It sounds like a drink.
No, you're thinking of Angel's Envy, which is a real drink and very delicious.
It is. I need to go buy a couple bottles for Christmas presents this year.
Yes!
Since my friends won't tell me what they want.
I guess I know what I'm getting. Shit.
Guess so.
Whoop.
Oopsie. Anyway, so this is a book that you and I both have read before, and we decided to reread for the podcast because we both just adore Ms. Singh's books. And it's a good reminder of how good the series started off. And even though you haven't really continued with the series much past with the vampires, but I have, and I really like them myself.
Well, the thing I like most about this series is that it does a lot of world building. Like you can actually see the angels in your head. They offer you the different. So even though the series mostly focuses on Raphael and Elena and the Seven and the Guild Hunters in New York, they also let you know about the Queen of Snakes, Neha. You learn about Michaela, whatever fucked up shit Titus is over there doing, where he be trapping holes in closets like he's R. Kelly. Um, and then, you get all these, and they're spread out across the world. So if you wanted to, if you're a fan fiction person like me, it gives you the opportunity to explore in your writings other worlds that are not necessarily mentioned. And I think that's the great thing that I love about the series. I like the world building aspects. It's the same kind of thing about why I like John Wick, the movies besides the dogs. But, these opportunities for more. The dogs.
The dogs died at the beginning.
The other one did it. The other one was a soldier, the one he rescued that was about to get put down at the end. The pit bull. Somebody did turn off they damn G chat. Tell your friends you'll be back.
Tis I who have yes. So I started these gosh, I can't even remember when I started these. They were I hadn't gotten into her side changelings story, but I'm trying to remember when I even started these. I don't know.
It was several years ago for me. I know that I read the first series. So I think when I started reading, there were only the first 3 books.
Okay.
So that was several years ago, and she's really expanded her universe since then.
Yeah. So it's moved beyond. So she's working her way through the lead character, the angel that you focus on, Raphael, and his 7, which are his 7 lieutenants that make up his top tier security level folks.
Top flight of the Top flight security of the world, Craig.
Shut up. Um, so you had like you said, do you have archangels on each of the continents? There's only so many you can have at any given time. Um,
Isn't it seven? I mean, seven's a perfect number, so I would imagine so.
is it 7 or 5?
No, it's more than five because
I
you
don't think
have,
you have one in like Antarctic, in the Arctic or in the Antarctic.
but there's two in Asia. There was one in China and one in India.
Right, you're right, because Neha's in India.
Neha's in India with her traitorous ass daughter.
Yes,
And then there's Michaela, Titus,
Titus is Africa.
of course he is. Raphael.
It's the Americas.
But there, who's Raphael's BFF? Who also has a
Oh, what is his name?
he got a girl.
Yeah.
I'm gonna Google while we thinking about this because God gave me the ability
Yo. So long as
to
it's free, there's no reason to not have knowledge.
yeah. So I mean, let's just talk about the book itself. So when we open the book, we learn about Elena, who is hunter born, is what they refer to her as. And she is a hunter of runaway vampires. So when vampires don't want to serve their sentence, Elena get called in to track them hoes down. So she go get the. Oh, I'm not even. I had an analogy in my head, and that's not appropriate. Uh,
I'm
so basically,
fascinated now. I feel like you should share it regardless.
so she go track down Django,
Oh my.
and 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 everything.
Oh.
And I and so she's really good at her job. She's the best of the best of the best, sir. And she's get this special job that her best friend Sarah gives her, who is the head of the guild hunters, gives her this job to go meet the cadre of 10, which are 10 archangels, not seven. There's the cadre of 10.
Okay.
And she gets there and she meets this fine ass motherfucker named Raphael, who was the head archangel of New York. And he's the most ruthless one. I mean, when they met, I'm not gonna lie, in my head, I heard Shawty swing my way. You know what I'm saying?
She said, "Shawty swing my way."
I mean, I just want you to understand because I'm thinking about that part as I walk over to him slowly. Said, "I know you don't know me, but this might be my own
Oh,
Shawty to the road."
first of all, that song came out before you were born. And
You know,
second,
I was very much alive.
when "Shawty Swing My Way" came out,
Yes. Let's listen. We go
yeah,
consult the
you want
good.
to talk about some Googles. But anyway,
1998. I was very much alive. Thank you.
I
We don't
mean,
have to talk about how old I was. I was
I was
alive.
gonna say, but were you walking at that point, or
Yes. Okay. Fuck that. Okay. So she goes and meets Raphael, who gives her the task of tracking down this out of control archangel named Urim. Now Urim has gone full blown Charles Manson meets Gacy
yeah,
with
he's
a little bit of Hannibal Lecter thrown in. Would
yeah,
you agree? Would you agree?
yeah,
Uh,
he's got the bloodlust. So the line between angels and vampires is very thin, in this particular world, where they share some qualities. I mean, angels have wings and fly and all this other stuff, but they are angels do get this bloodlust, and it drives them crazy like it would a vampire. And Urim, being old and has now lost his mind, and has gone into bloodlust and has gone started killing people indiscriminately.
yeah, and it's important to note in this world that angels turn vampires.
Right.
Vampires can't turn other vampires. They have to be specifically. excuse me, chosen by an angel to be turned. And it's a whole process where some people may not survive the change. So some people don't make it. So, for example, Elena got a human ass sister. Let's talk about this. Let's get into this
I
situation.
was like, her sister, Elena's family,
Let's
her
talk about it.
whole family is just troubled. And
They were a
so
big episode of Maury, honestly.
Elena's mother was killed by a vampire. Okay. And her daddy lost his mind. Got remarried.
Let's put a pin in that right there. Because, first of all, it's important to note that Elena's mother is Arab.
I believe so.
She's Arab.
Moroccan.
She's Moroccan. Yeah, she's Moroccan, right? And so after she dies, the dad goes and gets with a white woman. Pull the pin out and let's continue on.
He gets remarried, has more kids, but never really grows on Elena. So Elena's got two things against her. One, her mom was his end all be all. I'm gonna love you till I die, but you weren't supposed to die before me.
Mm-hmm.
And Elena's got this mysterious power, her hunter skills, and he just hates that about her.
Right.
And
Well, because I mean, and we find out eventually why he resents her.
yeah,
Because in a later book, further on, we learn that one of the daughters from the new marriage has the same power that Elena has. And the father resents Elena because the vampire, and it was a serial killer vampire. The vampire that came to the house to kill not only the mother, but she had another sister that was killed,
yeah,
was drawn to the house because of Elena's powers. And this entire time, this is the daddy ain't shit. Because this entire
yeah.
time, the dad tried to make it seem like it was the mother's fault for having this gene that made its way through Elena's body and drew the hunters. When it all the time, it was this motherfucker who had the gene that created this hunter born that draws
Muted.
hunters. Yeah, had draws vampires to the house. But let's explore another aspect of her relationship. Let's talk about her sister and her sister's trifling ass husband.
Every family got him.
Every
Every family
listen,
got him.
every family has them. And Elena's sister husband seems like the type that'll yell at you, cuss you out, put his hands on you, and tell you that you ain't shit when
Mm-hmm.
you the one putting the food on the table. You see what I'm saying? He a selfish ass motherfucker if you feel
Yes.
me.
Talking
He gonna
about
drink your kids' apple juice
and eat the Cocoa Puffs.
and eat their cocoa puffs. He gonna do that. He gonna do that. He gonna take your check. He gonna pick up other women in your car.
Yep. And we talking about what you doing with our money.
Right.
Who's our? What? Who? Uh-uh.
If
Uh-uh.
there was ever a personification of the song Bills, 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 it's, it's Selena's sisters, brothers. Why? I mean, husband. Why do we say that, good
Brother.
people? Because, like we said earlier, you have to be specifically chosen to be a vampire. You have to be selected by the archangel in the church or whatever, or wherever you go. I don't know if you go to the church, you might go to the crack house. I don't know. The angel has to choose you to become a vampire. And so, Elena's sister's husband went and became a vampire without waiting on Elena's sister to find out whether or not she will be selected to get be turned into a vampire. So what happened? Elena's sister husband became a vampire. Elena's sister didn't.
Yep.
And then Elena's sister husband tried to run off the plantation.
And the thing is, and they blame Elena for being who she is, even though it has nothing to do with the fact that her brother-in-law ain't shit.
Right. And the brother, Elena's brother, I could just call him the brother-in-law instead of the sister husband. Uh, Elena's sister husband ran off the plantation, and then Elena had to get called, was called in to go bring her back. And now the sister hate her for that, for bringing the husband back after he tried to argue in OFFT.
And the thing is, he knew what he was signing up for. You knew that there was a chance that the sister wasn't going to get, and I think the sister's name is Beth, wasn't going to get Chuck, wasn't going to be able to be turned. And like you said, instead of waiting to make sure that everybody could go and be happy together, you run off and get turned, and now she can't turn, and now you're immortal, and she's just looking at you like, why? So yeah, I'm not going to be mad that I had to go do my job because you're a dumbass.
Right.
So in the world that is built in these books, if an angel turns you, you owe them 100 years of service. Now you're now immortal, so that's really nothing. I mean, that's just enough to get you to be old enough to be able to control your impulses, so you're not just out here randomly biting people
like Louis.
But you knew that when you signed on, so why would anybody have any sympathy for them is beyond me.
Right. Listen. This brother-in-law took off like the McAllisters at the airport and left Poe Kevin, aka Beth, back at TSA.
Took it back to Home Alone. That's hilarious.
Left Beth back at TSA's pre-check. He went through the pre-check and Beth went through the regular check. The brother-in-law had his clear pass. And Poe Beth got to take off her shoes and her belt. and all her liquids. So that's just the pin in her fucked up family, right? So Elena gets to the tower, meets Raphael, sees this man is basically like a Michelangelo painting, beautiful, you know, everything you would have imagined the Archangel of New York would be. I would have really loved it if Raphael would have threw with some dead asses and some
Tims.
And some Tims, you know what I'm saying? But that's not quite how it happens. So she goes to check out Urim. And throughout this whole time, there's this kind of back and forth between Raphael and Elena, where they kind of vibing with each other. But Raphael's got his own kind of internal issues going on. Like he's battling a little bit of the bloodlust himself. And at one point, he tries to kill her. Like he goes a little full blown snapped on him. What did Elena do? She pulled out her gun and she counts 6 shots. She shot him in the wing.
I'm in the wing.
Shot him in the chicken wing, Lord. And she shot him in the wing and the 7. So let's talk about the 7. In my head, the 7 are some of the most gorgeous people on the earth. You've got Bluebell, which is described as what is Bluebell's real name?
Ilium,
who is described as one of the most beautiful of the angels because his wings are in a gorgeous blue and turquoise pattern. And we learned at one point that Ilium lost his wings and became in servitude to Raphael after he went into the club and fell in love with the pussy, the human pussy.
She said.
And he was willing to risk it all. And Raphael said, I think not. So there's Ilium, there's Venom, who is a vampire with snake eyes.
Yep.
And he's rude as hell. We know that much. And he's got fangs.
He is rude as hell.
He's rude as hell. There's Nasir.
Yep, who is part cat, I believe.
And then there's Jason, who's a vampire. And Jason is he Polynesian?
I have no idea. I just remember Jason's an angel because he has the black wings. And he's a spy master. He can blend because his wings are like super black.
Pitch black. So is it Nasir with the tattoo on his face?
Nasir has a tattoo on his face.
Yeah, so maybe Nasir has he has a huge tattoo on his face. I think he's part Polynesian or something. And whatever it is and he's indigenous. He comes from indigenous roots, like it's some kind of tribal um, tattoo on his face. Because even when he gets into a fight at another club in China and somebody rips off part of his face, the zombies do, he goes and gets it back on because it's a part of who he is. Um, Jason is the one who was kept up in somebody's dungeon for a long ass time.
Yeah.
And then who else is there? There's
I had to look.
Adam, who we don't know much about.
No, he's got so he has a bit of an arc in the books across several books where he got injured, I want to say, and wouldn't talk, wouldn't do anything, and then he started healing. Like they trust him to fight, they trust him to do all that stuff, but the interpersonal relationship thing, not so hot. So
Yeah. And he's the one who is what's the word that I'm looking for? He's pearly white. He's translucent.
yeah,
He's translucent. Um, and so who else is there?
Mitri.
Dimitri. Dimitri is supposed to be the fine one that just exudes sex. When she talks about him, she says that he smells like fur and diamonds. Now, if that ain't some sexy shit, I ain't never met a man who just smells like fur and diamonds.
Nope, can't say that I have. That's a new one. I can't picture what that would smell like because
I imagine it probably smells like Chanel number 5 or some shit. I don't know. And then that's all it. And those are those are essentially Raphael's bodyguards. Those are the people who take care of him. And when Elena comes through, they're all very wary of her. They're very wary of her because they see her as a weakness for Raphael. They see how Raphael has become infatuated with her. And so when he tries to kill her and she shoots him out of a window or something, doesn't she?
yeah, he comes after her he goes into this state called the cold, which is something he does to heal his body or something. And he's kind of like a mindless zombie almost, and he attacks her and
It's a
shoots him
dissociation.
with this special like bullet that destroys a part of his wing. And because she's scared to death, I mean, our angels can kill the humans at will, like just by looking at them almost. And so she freaks out and shoots him.
Yeah, I would describe the cold as after I've had about 4 shots of Hennessy at a club. That's kind of what I'm like. I mean, I may not try to kill anybody. I might choke somebody though. Really, you know,
First of all, I can't imagine drinking 4 shots of Hennessy
it happens.
because it's nasty.
It happens.
Secondly,
Kanye said, "Who needs sorry when there's Hennessy?" And he told no lies.
Hennessy tastes like sweaty underarms to me. Like there's just nothing good that could happen from drinking that stuff.
That's because you're too rich to drink Hennessy.
I don't know about that, but
Come on back down to earth with the rest of us peons that like drinking it and listening to trap music on a cold Friday night.
I've been listening to trap Christmas music.
Okay, no, thank you. So moving along. Oh well, the only trap Christmas song I will allow is "What You Go Get That Player for Christmas."
So there's one, and actually this is not a trap one. This is actually an Uncle Luke song that they keep playing, called Christmas Spliff,
A Christmas blunt.
basically. And like the end of the song is like Merry Spliffmas. And I'm like, really, dude? Of all the Christmas things you could sing about, right? They just talk about basically buying their side hose cheap weed for Christmas.
Right. Okay.
I don't know what that has to do with anything, but um I have to tell people about it every time I talk to somebody. I feel like I need to share that song with them. It's pretty bad.
It sounds bad. So
Oh,
the seven don't like Elena, but there's also members of the cadre of 10, which are the superior archangels, who don't like Elena. And the main one is Michaela. Now, Michaela is described as the most beautiful, she's a black woman, most beautiful black woman, one of those kind of Helena of Troy's people sail ships into battle for her faith. And she knows she's a bad bitch. You know what I'm saying? So like basically anytime Beyonce leaves the house, you know what I'm saying? Anytime she takes a picture for the Instagram. But Michaela is also a jealous hoe, and Michaela gets around the block. So Michaela has slept with, she had a thing with Titus at one point. Um, she had a thing with Raphael, even though I don't know how far he let it get. But then most importantly, she had a thing with Urim. Like that was her main piece at the moment. That was the one who was sending Postmates to her house on a cold night and edible arrangements on Valentine's Day. And so when Urim goes crazy, naturally Michaela becomes a target. And Elena's trying to protect her, but at the same time, Michaela don't want shit to do with Elena because she sees Elena as intruding on her next meal, which is
big.
which is Raphael.
Yeah. Until oh boy leaves a box of hearts on her front lawn and she realizes shit has just gone sideways.
Right.
In a way
Because
that you don't really walk away from. Like you can't really just justify the kind of sideways that results in a box of hearts being left on your front lawn.
I mean every kiss begins with K, right? I mean
It does. That's still gross. So I read that and I was like, I forgot about that, and I'm gonna probably forget about it again because that's gross.
right. And so Michaela gets upset because she sees Elena as taking away her next meal. Naturally, Michaela is used to being the baddest bitch on the block. So now that there is another woman with this gorgeous platinum blonde hair that Raphael seems to be infatuated with, when she shows up, naturally Michaela got a problem with it. She like, oh hell no,
Yeah.
don't mess with my man. I'm gonna be the one to bring it to you. You know what I'm saying? So uh you know what I'm saying? And in return, Elena is just kind of like, it's over. It's over now. Move over. It's my turn now. The game is shut down.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And so that's just what happens with their dynamic. And we move further along in the book, and I think Elena and Raphael get down to it in the sheets.
Yeah, once he heals from her shooting him, um, he's like, you know what? I'm done dancing around this. It's about to be on. And it is on. And um
He probably turned on the silk.
he did. So
Can I
apparently when Raphael
turn
is really
you
trying to get somebody going, he sprinkles angel dust.
Ain't that some Prince shit though?
The first time I read that, I was like, PCP? No. Actual angel dust. Like their feathers create a dust that sparkles and shines and apparently tastes like chocolate and strawberries, and
It's
it's
like pure.
specific to the person that they're sprinkling it on, and like that whole nine. And
It's like
I thought
ecstasy.
that was hilarious.
It's like ecstasy. They probably roll it like a motherfucker. And so Raphael sprinkles the angel dust on her, dusts her in gold, and then cuts on the silk, lose control, let's make love. If you take your pick out of those songs.
Okay.
cuts it on, and they get down to the business, and that's pretty much it. Where we learned that Elena would take on the world for the D, kill an archangel for the D,
Yeah.
fight the cadre of 10 for the D, die, come back, be revived for the D,
So now,
eat ambrosia for the D.
so Raphael, so they get down, but they stay focused on the task at hand, which is finding Urim, because now bodies are popping up in random places and
It did.
disembowelments are on an all-time high. I mean, shit has just taken a sharp left turn.
It did also. Wasn't there a kid? Like they heard a kid. He
They
heard a
heard,
kid.
I think she was a teenager, but she was crying. They
No,
actually saved one.
no. Remember, there was a little boy that Orb hurt. He hurt a little boy. One of the little boys with the pretty wings that she met at the school.
I don't remember.
So there's a little kid. He's like he's 4 or 5 that Orem hurts, and that's what really, for Michaela, I would never hurt a kid. I would never support anybody hurting a kid because she was somebody who lost a kid. And kids are considered, kid angels are considered to be the most precious life to them. That's above reproach. If you even hurt one, that's signing a death sentence.
Okay.
And so then
Huh.
And so then they essentially said, you know what, this motherfucker gotta go. And so they go and hunt him down, and there's a huge battle over the skyline in New York between Raphael and Urim.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking flash of lights. Like, I'm pretty sure they thought it was the beginning of Independence Day. Not 4th of July, but the movie. Um, that's the way, at least it was just described to me. Um, and so there's this huge battle, and during the battle, Elena is struck with a fatal blow. And on the steps, the way they make it sound is that they were battling, and after they had killed him, they were on the side of a building, an apartment building, essentially on the fire escape, if I remember correctly. I mean, I could be making all of this shit up. This is probably how I saw it in my head. They were on the fire escape, and somebody clearly still has not turned off their G chat.
That's not G chat. That's a text. There's my brother.
Tell your brother we'll be done soon. Anyway, um, they get into there's the death blow. They're on the fire escape. Elena is dying in Raphael's arms, and he basically pulls a "I'll never let go, Jack" moment, and he feeds Elena ambrosia. And ambrosia is supposed to be this, ambrosia from the gods is described as a very sparkly gold substance
Yep.
that goes into her mouth. And what that essentially does is change Elena into an angel. She becomes an angel.
Yeah, instead of becoming a vampire, which is interesting. I
Right.
don't know how the I'm not 100% sure how what the difference in the process is, but I think by all intents and purposes, everyone was kind of expecting her to be a vampire, and she ended up sprouting wings and becoming an angel. And that just doesn't happen. Like, it never happens. You don't create angels, you create vampires. And so
I believe,
everyone was like, what the Smurf?
yeah,
Huh?
if I remember correctly, the archangels have a poison that builds up in their body over a period of time, and they have to allow the poison to leave their body. And the way they expel it from their body is by feeding it to people to become vampires.
Right.
And Urim's problem outside of the bloodlust was that he had allowed the poison to build up into his body to such a point that it was uncontrollable.
Right.
And so with Elena, I believe there's only been 1 or 2 people in history who have been changed into angels through
Right.
this method of ambrosia.
Yep. And so the book itself, it's a really good book. It's a very easy read, really quick. There's a lot of a good, like you said, good world building, snappy dialogue, a lot of, sarcastic and snarky, like between Elena and Sarah, or Elena and Ransom, who's another guild hunter,
Fine as fuck.
who's, because, who writes about other people. But that was rude. I should have. But lots of snappy dialogue. I love her books. I love all of her books. I've read a couple of her different series, and they are such good books. Like I said, they're easy to read. They don't require a whole lot of hard, physics type thinking. These are books you can get lost in easily without worrying about whether you've missed something. It's not like reading Beloved.
Uh, very true. And
Beloved had me. I read Beloved 3 times. And I really didn't know what was going on until I saw the movie.
yeah, so no, I love this series as well. It's hands down one of my favorites in the kind of fantasy world. I like I said, I'm a really big fan of the world building she does there. I like how she kind of weaves other characters from her stories outside of this series into the book. And I just like the way she describes the she's a very descriptive author, but not in a way that's overbearing or boring. So when she talks about the colors of Ilium's wings, or when she even talks about the colors of Ilium's mother, the hummingbird's wings, and what they look like, and how they dance in the sky, and all of this, of which it should be said that the way angels foreplay is them dancing together in the sky. So let that sit in your mind for a bit. But when she describes all of that, I can see it in my head. And that's what I love the most. Like, um, if this was ever adapted into a series, the color palette would be amazing, but I would also be very picky about who I would want to portray some of these characters, because
Oh
you
yeah.
develop such a very strong relationship with them, especially like Dimitri and Ilium. Like nobody could touch Bluebell. Like Bluebell is just
You gotta have the right mixture of playful, hard ass, like he is very amiable, but is deadly, is and very protective, and all these other things. Like to find the right person to kind of play some of these roles would be, I'm not sure you could, and it wouldn't be lacking in one area or another.
I mean, even some of the minor characters like Ransom, who was described as being Native American with long, gorgeous hair. Like that's what they constantly roast on him about, is his blowout the entire series.
Blowout.
And they describe Ransom as being a player, but all of a sudden he's in love with the preschool teacher. But he's still very hard.
Right.
Like he's deadly. He's always kind of like that ride or die person. But you also know that he ain't shit. And he just now getting his life together where he wants to commit to one woman and settle down. And that's new territory for him. So, you know, I don't think, you know, I don't know anybody who could play any of these characters. Even thinking about Elena, I don't know anybody.
No, they probably get the girl who played Katniss in the Hunger Games,
Oh
Jennifer.
hell no. And that would be such a disservice.
I can't think of what her last name is, but
Jennifer Lawrence.
that's the one. Um,
But the thing is,
but you're right.
these books are also, the characters are so diverse. Like they're racially and ethnically so diverse.
Yes, yes,
And that's something that must be honored in any kind of adaptation. So Elena herself is Moroccan and white.
right.
You can't erase the Moroccan part of her story, because constantly through the book she talks about how her mother spoke to her in Arabic and she learned it, and she learned French and all of these other kind of things. So you can't erase that. And then when you're thinking about the cadre of 10 in and of itself, There's people in North America, South America, Africa. One of the next major characters in the books is Julie Jean. I messed it up. Julie Wan. I'm sorry for I don't speak Mandarin. Who is the Chinese archangel, the ancient one, who gets out of fucking control. It's
Yeah,
like,
she couple books down, she completely loses her shit, and it's not right.
yeah, and so her and then Neha, the Prince of Snakes in India, and her daughter, who is off the chain as well,
It's a
um,
not Vivashi, right?
Favashia, and she's out of control. Who she actually ends up losing her head because, yeah.
You just don't play like that, and she plays like that. Get you into trouble every time.
Oh, never. So when I was talking about the person hurting the kid, that was Favashi, not I'm sorry. And so I say all of this to say is that this is a good culturally, racially, it's a good diverse series. I like it. I highly recommend it to anybody who enjoys fantasy books, but also people who just want to read a good angel series because it's very difficult to find good ones.
Yeah, I have not seen it done well a lot, and it's not something that people tackle often. Um, but this one, I could totally see writing more. It would have never occurred to me to put angels and vampires together the way that Nalini Singh has. Like it
I
would never, like you think of angels and vampires, good and evil, that kind of thing. And angels aren't angels in the way that we think of them as like celestial beings. They're they aren't good. They do a lot of really bad things. And it is just it's amazing, but it's really creative and really well done. Really, really well done.
when I think the colors and the way she describes these books make me think of The Wicked and Divine.
I can see that.
It makes me think of The Wicked and Divine, which is a is that graphic novel or is that comic book?
They're comic books.
Yeah, the comic book. So if you've ever read an issue of The Wicked and Divine, think of those colors when you think about this book. I mean, and also just like I said, not a lot of people tackle angels and tackle it well in this kind of sense of the fantasy series. I mean, honestly, the last time, not even a, I don't know many. So if you have any suggestions for angel series, please pass them on. But outside of our homegirl L.A. Banks, rest in peace, how she did her Angel series,
Yeah.
which she never got to finish before her untimely passing. That was good.
Yeah, I'm still
Um,
mad about that.
I know you're pissed at
So
me.
still real salty.
I know you're pissed about that. And also thinking about Melissa De La Cruz had a young adult book series called Blue Bloods, where it was fallen angels who came down from heaven and lived several iterations of life. And one of them was the Lost Colony in Roanoke, and there were a couple other ones that I couldn't remember. So it's that one. And then I also believe our homegirl JD Ward has a Fallen Angels series as well that kind of runs a little bit parallel to her Black Dagger Brotherhood series. Less books than in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. Uh,
Mm, okay.
but that's the one with Covet. It focuses around one. Uh,
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
yeah, yeah, focuses around one guy.
Yeah. Ow.
But like I said, if you have any suggestions for Angels books, please recommend them. But otherwise, if you have not read this series, we would highly recommend it.
Highly, highly.
And I think
So
that's it.
it is. So the next book we'll be talking about is Hate to Want You by Alicia Ray. Rye? Am I saying it wrong?
I don't know. We might have to ask for clarification.
Yep. But Hate to Want You is a it's considered romance.
Yeah.
Even though they hate to have romance. But that'll be the next book that we cover. So please pick up a copy, read it along with us, give us some feedback. we'll be posting that one in a couple weeks. So in case you hadn't noticed, we'll be releasing every other week instead of every week like we had been, just because life is a little busier now than it used to be.
Hello.
But still catch us on the interwebs, Twitter. You can catch me at Geekazon. I've changed my name because I felt inclined one morning. And you can reach Valkyrie at LeValkyrie, LeValkyrie.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap, I got it right.
So
Or
proud of
you
you.
can email us at drunkonpodcast@gmail.com. If you've got any book recommendations or anything that you think that we would like, please shoot them our way. You can always tweet the podcast at Drunk on Podcast, and we will make an effort to start talking on again and making sure we check our messages. So thanks for joining us. I'm Lolo.
And I'm Valkyrie.
I don't know who I am these days. Deuces.